Today is Vlogger-Day 731. We're opening the day with a 4-mile run, which is good. The traffic is gonna get crazy here in a second. Sorry about that. Today, I thought I would talk about the tools that I use to vlog. I know that it's a grand interest among my core following, at least, how I vlog. I promise I'll go over that soon. It's just daunting, a very daunting task to undertake. So I thought I'd warm things up with just a little bit about what I use to vlog, and then we'll, take the next step next time. I went and got a peach first. The post-run fruit hit. I've also only had a banana tea so far, so peach sounds like a wise choice. Tuesday. It's Tuesday. In lieu of a writerly Wednesday, I figured that I'd finally talk about what I use to make my vlog. The thing is that I know I've been asked a lot how I vlog, and that's a video that I'd like to make because I have an idea in my head of how I want to make it, ironically, but it's also very involved and it's going to take some extra work. So I get a lot of questions all the time. The FAQ has links to most of the stuff I'm going to show you. So pretty much in every video that I've been putting out for the last 6 months. Click on that. FTC regulations aren't really clear about this, but pretty much want me to let you know that those are affiliate links. So if you click through to Amazon on those, I will make a couple pennies off of that if you buy anything. That said, my toolkit is actually fairly limited. I don't use a lot of things, and I used to have more equipment. I used to have more cameras. The crux of what I use every day, the key components, are gonna be the phone that I'm recording this with. It's a Galaxy S8, which gives me some problems for sure, like randomly just not filming anymore, which might happen in the middle of this, and if that happens, I'd be ferociously angry and have to start all over again, but hopefully that doesn't happen. So the Galaxy S8, my Razer Blade 14-inch, this is a new model, a fairly new model. I don't know if they came out with a newer one recently, but I currently have the logo covered up with one of my Space Invaders stickers, which you can get if you're a patron, otherwise they're all mine. The key element to a lot of my day is a tripod. Now, when I talk about the tripods I use, most of you are gonna think about this, your standard Jovi Gorillapod. This is a little one that's rated for phones, has this little clip on top, which you're able to use phone in it, right? You put the phone in here and then you can film, you can set this up. These are the ultimate tripod in a lot of ways. They're very versatile. You can wrap them around stuff. You can hang them from things. You put them in places that aren't flat. These tripods are absolutely necessary. And Tim is gracious enough to hook me up with these from time to time when they start to break, because that is the number one problem with these. If you use them as much as I do, they eventually do break. They don't break dramatically most of the time. I have broken the legs off a couple of them. I have some broken ones somewhere. I'm sure they're in the garage now. But when I talk about breaking, usually what I mean is that these ball joints are based on friction. So if you break that friction, like if you overuse these and you break the friction, then they become really weak and the tripod effectively melts. It no longer holds a camera, at least doesn't hold one stable. So my mom, when she gets these, likes to play with them. I used to actually keep a dead one that I would switch it out for and give her that one that I wasn't really using anyways, because it's very satisfying to play with these, but it decreases the longevity of these. I think the average person that uses these like every once in a while, it'll last you years probably. These tend to last me about a month before I have to get rid of them. And then of course it's usually something dramatic, like I went for a run in the snow once and slipped trying to pick it up in front of some beautiful women, of course, so I could make a total ass of myself, and yeah, I popped it right off. Once you pop one of these ball joints, you're done. This is what I used to rely on a daily basis. I used to carry these around. They do fit in your pocket, which is great. I used to keep it right with my wallet all the time, but it is kind of a pain. It does take up a lot of space, and you end up, I would actually keep it in my backpack more than anything. What I use now more regularly, I already put it back in my pocket, is this guy right here. This is a Jovi Tripod. As you can see, you fold it out and boom, you're good to go. Got these 3 little legs. Now this thing has lasted me a fairly long time. It's actually made out of metal. It does have some issues. It doesn't open and close as smooth as it used to, and the head joint is getting a little bit tipsy. So it's not the most stable anymore that it used to be. But this guy, as long as you've got a surface that's remotely flat, you can use anywhere, and it folds up. You saw how much it folds up. If you contrast right next to my wallet, boom, just put both of these in my pocket. Good to go. I have it on me all the time. Absolutely love it. One of my favorite things that Jovi has ever made. I don't even know how to find it online. Paul gave it to me, but I do need to find more of them because this one is starting to break down. He also sent me a bigger one. Now this one is rated for your little point and shoots. I don't think it's DSLR friendly, but if you have a point and shoot Canon or Sony, this will work. Same clipping mechanism for my phones, but this thing is sturdy. The nice thing about both of these, the little one and this one, is that they don't have the moving parts. One of the other weaknesses with the ball joints is that if this is very, very light and very vibration sensitive. If you get any wind when you're doing a time lapse or something like that, it's going to vibrate more. These things are sturdy. They have very few moving parts. They're low to the ground, and they actually are super stable for time lapses. So I also really prefer these. This one in particular is even better than the little one because it's got the extra weight to it, but it's less mobile. And I don't know if I'm very, very slow to break in the joint, the little ball joint that you'll see in there, because again, once you break the friction on that, I'm not sure how long it'll last. But this one does, to me, when I've used it, it's not nearly as versatile in its range. The little one has better angles to it. Of course, nothing's as versatile as this though when it comes to the angles you can get. So I always have one of these in my backpack in case I need it. It also gives me the added height, and which is sometimes something that's very, very desirable. Speaking of added height, this one is a slightly larger Jovi Gorillapod. It's not that much different in concept, very much the same. I used this when I did the overhead shot when I was drawing the map. I shoved this on the window, which is what this is resting on right now. I used to actually have one of these dedicated. It was a broken one that I wrapped around the window piece that I can show you here in a minute. And that's what used to hold the camera when I'm talking to camera like this. This guy is what I shoved around it recently to get a little bit more distance out, and it's also strong enough to hold the weight of the phone while it's extended like this. So I just put one of those little clippy things on here, had the camera pointing down, and then drew for 40 minutes, and it captured all of that. So one of these is definitely really helpful for that. This is also rated for a DSLR. Again, I'm not using a DSLR. It also has this guy which unlocks, and so you can adjust the angles and the rotation. It's super versatile, it just takes up a lot of space. So I don't carry this around with me. I try to carry as little around with me as possible at all times, because if I have to go through extra pains just to get like one shot of the day, I'd rather come up with a creative solution to get that shot than carry extra gear. I'm not really big on carrying lots of gear. This guy right here is the microphone that Jim sent me, which thank you, Jim, if you're watching this. This is for my telephone. You can see it plugs into the headphone jack here, right? This guy goes on to secure it in place. And then this thing is called a Fuzzy Cat. It's there to break up the wind, so we just shove this in here. Otherwise, it's just a little shotgun microphone by Rode. It's not a paid advertisement for any of this stuff. I'm not getting paid for any of this stuff. Although if you want to click on one of those links to buy something through Amazon, then I guess I get paid a little bit. This guy is really, really good. It has betrayed me a couple of times, so I don't trust it completely. Otherwise, has been actually really, really solid. It produces some really good quality for what it is. I think these are like 50 or 60 bucks. You plug it in. The directional sound that you get out of it is a good upgrade. Again, I'll shove this in my backpack because it's pretty light, and I'll carry it on with me sometimes. But generally, the only things I have with me in my backpack and when I'm vlogging on a daily basis, my laptop. Most of the time, I have my laptop with me when I'm traveling around so I can sit down and get some work done. I'm always looking to work. 50% of the time, I have my mouse. It's a Razer Oki. I think I've had this since my first Razer blades. I've had this guy for like 5 years now. Great mouse. It's a gaming mouse, really high sensitivity. I try to carry it around with me because I hate using my trackpad to edit, especially. Just certain things you start to feel like your fingers are gonna fall off. Little tripod in my pocket, my phone with me, and earbuds. I have these Bose earbuds that I bought years ago. They're great earbuds. They are starting to fall. They've been falling apart for years now. I actually looked at getting them replaced when I was in the States, but I didn't want to spend the money. You can see that like I've got them all taped up and it's not doing much. Basically, these last a long time, but the rubber that coats everything is melting and falling off. And it's also melting around, all these important components. And so, yeah, these are good enough. Really, you want over the ear stuff for editing sound, but when it comes, again, this is so much smaller and does a good enough job that this is what I usually rely on. Although these are, like I said, falling apart, and now, especially the right earbud here is like, this thing is just completely ruined. So it's really important though to have high quality sound equipment. It doesn't have to be as expensive as Bose, obviously. I got these on sale once when I was in an airport because I was desperate because my earbuds had broken. And this was back when I actually had a job. But sound is 50% of your video, and so it's really, really important. The phone generally does well enough that I don't need to worry about it too much, but again, if I'm in wind, that's when this is really important, or if I'm doing a stable shot outdoors somewhere, this is really important. But yeah, that's basically the production side of things. I do have Hero 4 here, the GoPro. I think this is a black. I've had this for a couple of years now. It is great. I never use it. GoPros are super limited. You can only use them for a couple of different types of shots. I will use these for their 4K time lapses, because then you can pan across the time lapse, make it look really nice. The Eiffel Tower video, I used this when I was in Nice. I used this. Very rare that I actually end up using these though. It's got a lot of dust. You can see I'm dusting it off because it has a lot of dust on it. I hardly ever use it. The other thing I rarely use but would love to use more and would use more is my drum. This tiny little thing is my Dji Spark, which was also given to me by Paul. Thank you, Paul. Paul's hooked me up with a lot of fun things along the way. The Dji Spark is tiny. It looks like this. And all the drone footage I got when I was in Biarritz or anywhere else that you've seen me use a drone in recent history has come from this. It does great. It shoots 1080, which is all I end up really using anyways. The limitations are the range on it kind of sucks. It's not powerful enough to overcome certain weather, although I've only run into that limitation when we were at the cliffs of Moher. So if you go to the Ireland video, where I'm flying it over the cliff. Like it thought the updraft as a physical barrier wouldn't go into it. Probably good, because it probably would have lost it. It also can only take video or photos. It can't do both at the same time. But the range on it really does kind of blow for, especially for the video playback, like being able to see what you're doing. Aside from that, it's like everything I want. It's small, it's compact. I can easily carry it in my backpack. I can throw it up, take it back down very, very quickly, get some cool shots. It's been amazing. I'm really, really happy that I have this, and I'm hoping that I have more opportunities to use it in the future. You can't fly drones in metropolitan France though, so Paris is very much off limits. I cannot fly it here. Of course, this is the full pack, so I've got 3 batteries in total, the charging kit, and the remote control, which is more simple than the DJI Mavic, but definitely gets the job done. Very, very, very helpful kit. Very nice to have. Thanks again, Paul, for that. When all is said and done, I back up everything onto a bunch of Western Digital hard drives. I have a couple of other brands, but Western Digital passports are usually what I end up going for in the variety of terabyte ranges. This one obviously has Gustav on it. I don't put stickers on all my stuff. I just started doing it recently to make it easier to identify things. What I do is I have like 6 of these, I think, running, and some of them are redundant, most of them aren't. They're all running off my old laptop in storage across the way. If you want, I'll link to the video where I actually cleared storage and made my backup station. But I have 5 hard drives running in there right now off of a backup software called Backblaze. Backblaze is like $5 a month, and they back up everything off-site. It's not accessible like Dropbox. You can't get into it and get stuff, but if these hard drives fail, they'll send me a replacement hard drive immediately, and it's actually covered in the cost if I ship the hard drive back, or I can buy the hard drive and keep it. So also not an advertisement for Backblaze, but if I have an affiliate link, I'll put that below. Highly recommend it. Haven't had to use them yet, but it's very no-nonsense, simple, straightforward, easy to use. Not 100% user-friendly in that you don't know exactly what's going on all the time with it, but I feel pretty confident in it. It took a long time to back. I have a lot of stuff that I've had to back up, so they've been able, I'm trusting them. That is everything that I use on a regular basis. Like I said, my phone, tripod, and computer I use every day. My mouse I use pretty much every day, like 90% of the time, unless I'm traveling and editing on an airplane, in which case I am miserable. But then on an airplane, I am using my earbuds, which I love and need to retire soon. I was gonna replace these when I was in the States, but I didn't get a chance. They've been really good to me. They're really falling apart. Yeah, that's basically it. I think that pretty much sums up the equipment that I use. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm missing. I don't use selfie sticks. Oh yeah, I was gonna play with this. You know, make sure you subscribe. Thanks, Tracy, for that. Came with a remote and everything. The software that I use is Adobe Premiere, the latest Creative Cloud version. I've been using Adobe Premiere since 1.5 or 1.6. So the one with the black stallions on it might have been the first one that I used. And of course, it's changed dramatically ever since then, but it's a fantastic software. It's a professional software. It's not one that's easy to jump into, like definitely has a higher barrier to entry. So if you have access to iMovie or something else, I really don't have recommendations for what to use on video editing software. If you're a Final Cut person, if you're using iMovie right now, if you're an avid user, whatever. I just have always used Premiere. I love Premiere. I used some other stuff. I don't remember what I used in middle school, but ever since high school, I've used Premiere and I absolutely love it. I do occasionally dabble in After Effects. I obviously use Photoshop every day as well to make my thumbnails, as well as various other title cards, but otherwise most of the titling and animation and masking and all that stuff that I do ends up done in Premiere. And if you're wondering what I mean by masking, just go back and see when I like wipe text on and off the screen, or just animate text, animate like the Space Invader stuff or whatever it is. That's pretty much all done in Premiere, because it's not, I would say it's because I'm lazy, but it's also because I'm efficient. Like I don't have time to make fresh animations all the time. So I just try to do the quickest and dirtiest version that I can as I go. That was a long talk about equipment. I hope my phone is still recording. Let's find out. Congratulations, it is, but I think I'm running low on battery life. So with that, yeah, do you have any questions? Let me know below if you have any questions about it. Maybe we can do another Instagram question session, or we could always, on my live edits, if you want to click on a live edit, you can actually see what my edit process looks like. It takes me a few hours every day. Some days are faster than others. Some days are really long, but that is definitely a part of my daily life. And yeah, I think I've covered everything. I don't think that there's anything else that I was hoping that this would play in more to my vlogging, and I can talk about that when I talk about how I vlog, but it is disappointing me a little bit on that. And I'm happy to do a tech review both on my Samsung Gear S3 and these wireless Bluetooth earbuds that I bought, because I'm super happy with these. I'm okay happy with this. I can tell you more about that when the time comes. But in the meantime, that is my vlogging equipment. Speaking of like behind the scenes stuff, I also wanted to show you a little bit of behind the scenes of the t-shirt of the month that we did this month, which Sonia did for me. So we're gonna go over to Sonia's place, check that out. She's gonna show us a little bit of her process, what that looks like, and you can see behind the scenes of a professional illustrator today as well. Bonus. much am I allowed to show of your life and workspace?
Well, you can show as much as you want.
Okay, fair enough. So I've teleported myself into Sonia's place, and she's going to show us a little bit of what she uses for her magical drawings. You can already see the glory of her personal space back here is pretty amazing. Lots of color.
There's a giant box here with the 50 books from what my girlfriend told me. So I'm just like, giant box. This is where magic happens.
How does the magic work?
So when we started first, when we decided we're gonna make shirts, it was actually hard because I knew that there's gonna be a bunch of stuff that you have like on your blog, and I just wasn't sure what to put. And then I realized I actually found a sketch. So this is my notebook that
That's
awesome. It's just like a bunch of things flowers. Look at flowers. I was just like, okay, the Eiffel Tower, obviously, it looks great here. And then I realized that we should just do a grid, probably. And then I wrote here important stuff. So what are the important stuff for Jay? And then look at this. It's a tiny little space invader. What else, right? That was the first phase. And then I just made a list of the things. So
was that your very first drawing?
Yeah, those are my first drawings. So I wrote badger, sunglasses, Eiffel Tower, soccer cur, coffee, Space Invader, disposable camera. Because we also discussed that online, if you remember.
We talked about it.
So did a bunch of... Badger was hard to draw. And then we did nachos that didn't look like nachos. So I redrew nachos.
They did look much more nacho-y in
I agree with you. Then this happens. I generally draw in pencil first. Then if it's a work, like if I'm doing logo or a map, I usually send it to the person who ordered it, right? And then you say, this is not good, this is great, this needs to be changed. I change it, and then I have a light box. I put it on the light box, and I redraw it, or I scan it. So that is one way of doing it. The other way would be with watercolors, and I love this palette.
Oh wow.
It's magic. You don't know what's gonna happen with colors. Look at this color. Look how pretty it is. This blue, right? Or this turquoise. So that's when I paint. That's what happens. And I have a bunch of different brushes. I like this brush. This is a thick one. Look at this one. Also, it's pretty dangerous because this cactus it's from Texas.
Yeah.
Right?
Extra dangerous.
So like a couple of times I just like stabbed myself. Yeah, so...
Cool.
So yeah.
Perfect.